This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 474 for the week of Monday, June 19th, 2017. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And on today's show, we have a very special guest, translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump. As always, we have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey guys, it's going all right.
We also have this week Twitter sensation, Casey, also known as Minovsky Article, with us. How's it going, Casey?
Doing great.
You guys are also succinct this week. We also have from ANN and our anime recap host, we have Sam Leach with us. How's it going, Sam?
So the question now is, do I keep up the pattern of being succinct, or do I go on a little tangent here?
It's already over.
Yeah, you just ruined it. And we have one new guest with us. We have the mobile developer for @Viz Media. We have Jeff Ruberg with us. How's it going, Jeff?
Hey guys, I'm used to hearing you all at 3x speed, so 1x is kind of throwing me off right now. I'm like, whoa, you're real people. You're not just voices in my head.
We should all talk a little faster to make it more comfortable.
We are apparently not more valuable than his time.
What? No, we're 1/3 as valuable as his time,
I guess.
So it's fine.
No,
which is not great.
Oh, sad.
It's okay. I don't listen to anything in 1x unless it's Japanese, because I can barely understand that.
I see. So if we spoke Japanese. Anyway, Jeff, you want to...
I'd like to hear that, Zach. I'd like to hear you try that.
You've heard it, and you know how terrible it is. Jeff,
Domina, sorry, Jeff.
Jeff, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at Viz?
Yeah, I work on the mobile apps, the iOS and Android apps for Weekly Shonen Jump and the main Viz Manga app. I've been there about a little over 2 years now. And yeah, that's about it. I basically been into manga and anime for a while, but not really more into anime than manga until I basically started at Viz, and then I kind of dove into manga a lot more. And over the past, I guess, 2015 November, 2016 November, I read all of One Piece because I went to Japan in November 2015 and saw One Piece everywhere. And was like, I should probably, see what this is about now. And so, yeah. And then since I caught up, I listened to the OP read through while I was after I finished each arc. And then once I finished, I've been listening weekly. So excited to be on, excited to talk One Piece. And I'm really glad I finally got around to reading it.
Awesome. So you and Casey were probably reading it around the same time, I'm thinking, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of hard to manage because I would be checking Twitter and I was already following him and I'd be like, oh no, spoilers for the arc that I'm about to get to. And I was like, oh no, what do I do? I was like, there are a couple people, I can't remember who, but there are a couple of people who are also reading it through around the same time. And I was like, well, I can't follow you because you're also 2 arcs ahead of me. But I mean, having the read through was nice because that's easy to consume on demand and stuff. And that was a really valuable resource just to be able to, once I finish an arc, pick it up, hear a bunch of...
And Jeff,
yeah?
you're further living proof that you can read all of One Piece in a year.
Yeah.
There's 2 of you guys here who do that, or did that.
Mm-hmm.
Did require being a little obsessive, though. So
The likelihood gets shorter. It gets a little bit smaller each year of One Piece as it gets longer and longer.
Yeah, when I did it, it took me 3 months. It took me a summer. But that was 10 years ago.
I don't think it took me... I think it actually did take me 2 or 3 months.
I got to half of it in over the course of a couple of years, and then the rest of it in a weekend.
So do you guys have any of the requisite hazing One Piece questions for Jeff? The ones we ask everyone.
What was the name of Itomi Mizu's bird?
First off, who's Itomi?
He's from South Blue, I remember that. Because
probably Tori. I don't know.
Hell, I don't even know the answer to that.
Yeah, so, who is that?
It was Chichun, right? That was the
something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
It was the giant sparrow that the guy from Davy Back Fight was flying around on.
Yeah. Davy Back Fight.
It's got really nerdy.
Yeah.
We are on a One Piece podcast. I hate to remind you.
In that vein, our good friend and podcast contributor Greg has a video out on YouTube. It's really good.
Oh, you're transitioning here. I see what's happening. I guess we're done hazing Jeff, is what you're saying.
I'm saying Jeff should watch this video on 10 things you probably don't know about One Piece unless you follow Greg's Twitter feed, which is actually what he named it. So
I just want to say
I'm enjoying it.
I actually love the Shonen Jump mobile app. I do all of my One Piece reading on it currently. And every time I post about it, someone else, like even among your listeners, goes, "What is this app?" So, like, it's a very valuable resource, and it runs great.
And
Thanks.
all you have to do is search manga, and it comes up.
I wish.
Or is that not? Is that not true? Well, on the Apple Store.
Not even the apples. If you search Shonen Jump, the weekly Shonen Jump app will come up near the top. But search manga, and there's quite a lot of grumble stuff.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, in the weekly Shonen Jump app, we recently updated in the past couple weeks, so it has like on iOS at least has a fresh coat of paint, and on both iOS and Android has free chapters in it now, which people have been asking for a while, and they were on the site before. And yeah, there are a bunch of them are there just kind of as like previews, like the first X number of chapters of a series, and there are some that like Haikyuu have the newest chapters, and then they eventually, when the volumes come out, they take them down. But there are some series in there that right now have like the entire run. Like Astro Lost in Space is really great and has all 35 chapters there. So I totally recommend people check that out. And you can do it on the app now. So,
and the best part about having One Piece digitally is so you could randomly post screenshots of the manga at appropriate times. It's the best.
And have it be the official translation and not take up every room of your house to own it physically.
Yes, that's true. I mean, you could use
Takes one bookshelf, guys. Yeah. Come on.
I'm working on my physical collection now.
Not a shelf.
I've got all the digital ones.
No, it takes
Not
up an
one
entire
shelf.
book
And
case.
an entire bookshelf. Yeah.
And
they look at
counting.
a wall.
Yeah.
I'll take
we're
pictures.
Ed and I are proud of that, but you also could own it digitally, which I also do, and it's great. So yeah, if you haven't checked that out. Also, for those who don't know, we read the manga on Shonen Jump every week. So please subscribe if you had not. It's available in, I think, around 10 countries now, hopefully more in the future. Jeff, make that happen. Make it happen everywhere. I know you're in charge of that.
Which also means that some of us read this on the Monday it comes out, like the day we podcast. So please don't tweet the Wednesday before spoilers at us.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like we've mentioned that a few times. So I want to mention at the top of the show, there's some really cool news. First off, we got a panel at Otakon. This is our first panel in a couple years, I think, right, Ed?
A couple of years. It was like 4 years ago, wasn't it?
That might be correct. This one's going
So
to
be. We had like 2 panels there, and we also did our own mini bootleg convention that we did. At the top floor, the One Piece podcast convention. That was 2011.
Yeah, that was fun. I had fun with that.
Yeah,
we had guests and everything. It was fun.
Yeah.
Opcon. That's the
Mhm.
name. Yep.
But I think we did a panel there in, I want to say,
13.
2010 and 13.
When I was in Japan, I remember you had a panel at Otakon, and I was
Right.
like, crap. I think we had one the year after as well, in 14.
Oh, of course. I remember that one. I think that was the year that Jason cut his foot on some barnacles and was on crutches.
Interesting. Yeah. That was 13.
That
I
was
not
yeah. That
there
was
for
the
that. Yeah.
That was also the one. When
We
you
are
were-
getting way off topic into a territory only 5 or 10 people listening understand. Check us out at Otakon because we are going to be doing a panel for the 20th anniversary of One Piece. I'm going to be there. Ed is going to be there. Steve is going to be there. Alex is going to be there. Our very own Casey is going
Hi.
to be there.
I'm just going to be there too.
Kelly is going to be there. Am I missing anyone, Ed? Unless anyone hasn't told me they're going to be there. That's our group at the moment, and I'm sure it will be insane. I'm going to be and I know Casey's already rereading the series. I think.
Yes.
So I'm
On the mobile app.
there. You go. And I'll try and do as much research and make it a really good and exciting and most importantly interesting panel for all of you guys attending. It's a big anniversary and we want to do something really special, and I really want to thank Otakon for allowing us to do something special. The other big news is we opened a Discord after people have been asking for it. I had never heard of Discord, and I still don't really know what it is, but there, lo and behold, there it is. Does anyone here want to Jeff, you should probably explain what Discord is, right?
It's like I don't know. I think of it in terms of like IRC, which probably dates me.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of people don't know what IRC is, but it's basically a collection of chat rooms, and you can join, and you can be in a bunch of different Discord servers, as they call them. So if you join the the OPP server, then you're in this server that has a bunch of channels, and there's things like general podcast, anime, manga, spoilers, and stuff. So you can
like imagine like a
things.
Skype chat room, like a text chat room in Skype that is, OPP whole for the whole OPP audience.
Yes, Sam described it very well. It's very cool from what I've dipped my toes in so far. We're also going for Patreon subscribers. So that's anyone who puts any money into Patreon. Please screen cap that, and you could get access to an exclusive Patreon room in which we will answer your questions for our Piece Together segment. Right now, I'm thinking of calling it Dispiece because, of course. So,
Wow.
yeah, I can't think of a better name. If you can,
I
please
like
let
that
me know.
name.
Thank you, Sam. I don't know. That's
Say
a
it under your
dubious-
breath a little bit.
Dubious endorsement. Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good
I'll
name.
give you some of this piece.
It's the opposite of the piece the tweet thing where you yell it at the top of your lungs.
Exactly.
So yeah, check that out. If you're a Patreon subscriber, we will answer Piece Together questions on there. Ed mentioned Greg's video. Please check that out if you haven't. So far, Greg hasn't been on the podcast in a long time, and this will fill the Greg-shaped hole in your heart. So please check that out. Ed, you're also going to be at AX. So do you want
That's
to
right.
talk a little bit about that?
Oh well, Steve and I will be there. I'll be hanging out with him a bunch. This is the weekend of July 1st and 2nd. We don't have a panel there, but we will be hanging out. So come say hi. And also, Dennis, who will be out at AX as well, suggested we record a segment while we're out there so we can meet up with some of our old Podcast West friends.
Yeah, I don't care if you record, a whole podcast there. I'm fine with it. Is that too much pressure?
It'll be fun.
Yeah, so if you're at AX, please bother Ed as much as possible. And I mean it. And everyone else who's out there, Steve and Dennis. Steven, you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, but not at AX. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, that's right.
We'll talk more about what you're going to be doing there as the date approaches.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, have any of you guys picked up Funimation's One Piece Season 9, Voyage 1?
No, but I've seen the pictures.
Well, why don't you pick it up? Because we're in it, Ed.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
This is all footage recorded at MatsuriCon last year.
Yeah, so this is stuff that some of it wasn't even in our podcast. So you have the chance to actually see the members of the podcast, including myself, Ed, Steve, Jill, not
Brian.
really Sam, even though he was there, Brian. Am I missing anyone? Oh, Alex. I'm missing Alex. Right. Yes. So please check that out. Purchase Season 9, Voyage 1. I don't know if extra features come out on Funimation's website. I'm assuming they don't. So I think you have to pick that up. It is worth it. It is the first time skip DVD. So if you pick up One Piece DVD, make it Season 9, Voyage 1. So, without further ado, we have a manga recap of chapter 869, not 689. We're way past that. And Sam, we also have an anime recap this week. Do you have the title or number in front of you? I think
I do. It's 793, A Seafaring Kingdom, Germa's King Judge.
Nice. I love how prepared Sam is there.
Good episode this week.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that a little bit later. We also, I think, have a ton of Piece Together. Is that right, Stephen? I know you.
At least on Reddit, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a lot to get into, and we've been talking for a long time, so why don't we get into it?
Mm-hmm.
This is the manga recap for chapter 869, Castling. Your rook takes this bishop on the front page, Ed.
Sure. It's the
trying for a chess joke, which doesn't really work.
The Saga of the Self-Proclaimed Straw Hat Fleet, Volume 6. Bartolomeo is... Now, this is confusing. It's the usual raucous ruckus from the Barto Club. Is Bartolomeo saying that, or the man in the panel? Because it'd be funny if it was Bartolomeo saying that.
I think it's just a general narration sense.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
The Ron Howard voice, yeah.
No, that was last week. That was last week.
Yeah, where are they? That's the thing I want to know the most.
This looks like that town from Rick and Morty where after they come down the beanstalk a little bit. You know what I mean? Anyone remember that?
Well, it's like
episode?
the spires and stuff.
I like to imagine that they're hearing Kenny Omega's Bullet Club theme as they sail in. For the New Japan viewers out there.
Yeah.
Why is that one holding a big wooden club?
He's
Fend
ready
off
to.
pirates.
It's ready.
Yeah, he's gonna count some skulls.
But the
They
pirates
know
look
the
like
ruckus that's coming.
they look like they're having fun.
Well, they're always having fun.
Yeah.
To be fair. Anything else you guys want to mention about this front page?
I'm glad it's Bartolomeo this time.
I think they're going in order, right? Like 1 through 7.
Was that
Yeah,
the order?
probably.
I don't remember
I don't-
the actual
yeah.
number.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I should have looked this up ahead of time, but I think that's what it was. Ed, why don't we get started?
So we get the Big Father looking very concerned. It's how can like a castle man be looking worried? But he pulls it off. Enter the castle, and everyone is thinking everything because nobody can hear anything because Mama's screaming still. So we get Perospero. He says, "I saw what you did, bitch. You were plotting to assassinate Mama." Was that his plan from the very beginning? We gotta whack him and Caesar, but Mama is still crying out in the background. Dufeld's eardrums are being killed, and big news in the background with Stussy as well. I wish there was like his little bird tongue like sticking out like.
Yes. Good call.
But-
Missed
Well, I
opportunity.
mean, if you remember the Muppets, like the tongues are just painted on the bottom of the mouth. So
That's right. But he is suddenly surprised. He sees mochi cakes. He picks up a mochi cake, sticks it in his ear, and then he notices the tamate box. And you see a look come over his face as we see the.
We talked
Straw
about how
Hats.
we already talked about how Dufeld looks just like John Katzimatidis, right? And again, Google John Katzimatidis. It's spelled the way it sounds.
Yes, you talked about it.
Okay, it needs to be mentioned every time he shows up because he looks exactly like him. Please continue.
Oh, man. So the Straw Hats Vito is saying into the castle, and Luffy loves the Big Father. Look at that. His eyes like seeing a robot for the first time.
yeah, that's true.
Oh, Luffy's really into the daddies, I guess. And all right, so then Caesar's flying, I guess, into the castle, and Katakuri reaches out with his long mochi arms, mooches the yanks the brulee off of Caesar. But
Yeah, I chose that sound effect because Mochi. He actually it actually says Mochi in the little bubble, the sound effect of bubble, where I have it as mooch. And I was like, oh well, actually Mochi is also, for anyone who is a student of Japanese, it is also the like a pre-conjugation form of the verb to grab or to hold or to have or something like that. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. It sounds like it goes for both. And so I was like, oh, well, what if he's just like mooching her? Mooch.
Oh yeah, it's mooching the brulee off his back. That's yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
That's pretty clever fun. Yeah, and everyone's running around, all thinking into the Big Father, and Jimbei is just kind of standing there watching everyone, I guess, being all stoic. And then we see Katakuri pull down Brulee again. I couldn't remember if this is the first time we've seen Brulee's arm basically do the Luffy arm to pull something like that.
Second time, or like during the punch when he did that punch originally, it kind of had that look.
You mean Katakuri?
Katakuri,
Yeah.
It looks way creepier than Luffy's arm has ever looked, and Luffy's arm has contorted in weird ways, I think.
Yeah, I think I had to do a double take just to make sure that I was looking. Oh, that is Katakuri's arm the first time you see it, because I wasn't sure if it was Luffy's or not.
Yeah, I was like, why is Luffy doing that? What are you doing, Luffy?
Yeah.
And then,
So he's only wearing a glove on one hand at this point. Interesting.
Right.
oh, yeah.
That might have. Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, only in his left hand because his right hand is grabbing Brulee.
Well, I guess he needed to use some mochi earlier, so that's probably why. Oh, he didn't want things to stick to his other hand, which he uses in the next panel. I get it. Okay. I get it now.
When did Smoothie lose her helmet thing?
Hmm.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember a helmet thing, but it's pretty weird. I mean, the mochi fruit, whatever, is pretty similar to Luffy's gum fruit. I mean, I don't know
In
if they're
certain
gonna
ways,
do anything
yeah.
with that. Yeah, in certain ways, but yeah, there's
Well, no, but he's rubber and Katakuri's glue, and
Exactly.
You know where that goes.
Aw. I assume that joke doesn't exist in Japanese.
No.
That would be too good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Katakuri primes up his jelly bean. Are they jelly beans or just beans?
Yeah, I think they are jelly beans, right?
Oh, yeah,
that was
they're
because that was
candy.
the first time he
Yeah.
used them. Yeah.
So blew them up, and I'm imagining this is like a machine gun firing them all out. And then Smoothie is just watching. Smoothie goes to grab Nami, and yeah, everyone's screaming. Actually, there's an eek there we can hear over Big Mom's scream. Kind of interesting, but and then what's his name? The lamp fruit guy grabs carrot.
Genie Weenie.
Genie?
I forget
we call him Genie Weenie.
I forget what
Genie
the character's name is.
Daifuku?
Yeah,
Daifuku.
it's Daifuku.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes
Well, no, it's not
Anyway.
actually Daifuku. It's his genie, in which we don't know his name, so we're gonna call him Genie Weenie.
It's the
Yeah,
puff
that's
fruit.
true.
That's canonical. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chopper gets grabbed too. Luffy's like, no. That's what I'm referring.
Ah, cha. Casey?
Yes, so we cut to Sanji, who has not moved from the top of that table in several chapters.
Right.
Casey, it looks awesome. Why would he move?
I agree. And he gives them the high sign, this very judgmental glare, and a thumbs sideways to let them know that they need to finally spring into action. Judge sort of, angrily humps, and the bros start pulling out these cylindrical objects with their corresponding numbers on them.
Well,
And
they were
finally,
They were handed to them like a few chapters ago.
Yeah, I was so confused by that
But
panel.
we don't know
We didn't actually
whose
talk
hand
about
that
it.
was.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it that much, but I was so confused by it, because there was no explanation that this is like their raid suits or whatever. So now we finally know.
yeah, because they look like cans.
No, they're gauntlets. They're gauntlets.
Oh, I know, but when you just look at them out of context, they don't necessarily look like gauntlets.
They're
but
magic
anyway.
hands.
Yes.
Wait, so
Yes,
who handed
but they,
them before?
That's what it's not really clear in that
Oh, they were just
chapter.
like,
just a hand.
Yeah.
Minions.
Guns are
They're-
blazing, and we
They're the
signal up
magic
the
hands
band.
from the magic hand. Sorry, go ahead.
So just imagine some light guitars playing in the background. Sanda ba da ba da ba da ba da, sanda ba da ba da ba da ba da. As the bracelets of destiny go on, the 2, the J, the 0, the 4, with whap 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 whap, and gank. So they're making lots of technological noises, and they were very Kamen Rider style. And then so now the electric guitar really kicks in. Germa, 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 Germa. Deadbeat family Germa Rangers. Here they are.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the substance they're transforming with is meant to be.
It's goo.
It's goo, but it starts taking on a very ribbony Sailor Moon magical girl.
It's magic goo
Yeah.
from the magic hand from the magic hand. Obvious.
I don't know. It's
Memory
going.
armor.
No, it's like going.
it's science.
Splat all over Rachel.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at that.
science.
Splat.
Yeah. Germa
Right, but-
Moon, Rage of
They'll
Resistance.
No,
rip their clothes
it
off.
literally says boosh.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mighty boosh.
So it may actually be cans. Like they just shake them up and then they just splatter some sort of soda all over them.
Oh, this is weird. Ed, are you ready for the big introduction?
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Germa Double 6!
That is a 10-year-old playing with his action figures right now.
Look at it. It's on fire behind them.
Well, you have to actually read all the other panels that precede it. Because there's a reason there's fire.
Yes, they are. So they do their sort of startup poses. We get Ichiji and Iji and Reiju, but who is that's shooting that stuff at them? Is that Kurosawa?
I don't
Unnamed
know.
guy.
Like
Unnamed guy.
yeah,
No,
again, this was the sort of thing where I was like, wait, that isn't supposed to be Judge, is it? Because it's got the same like robe pattern, and he's kind of got the big poofy light colored hair. And I was like, no, that's definitely just some rando that we have not been introduced to. But
So
it's
he's
very
confusing. He launches something, and it's on fire.
Got like Rayman hands or something.
Yeah.
So Prospero comments, yes, Germa's science. So that's what their memory armor looks like, and flame-proof to boot. So we're just proving a point that it's flame-proof, which means that's obviously going to be important. Yeah, so they sort of taken fire, and Prospero's like, I'll just use my candy to immobilize them again. And
can we talk about this color?
This is like it's not color spread, but this is like Oda hardly ever draws anything like this.
And this
the one thing I can think of is Sniper King. Like that is it.
That's like the melody of the theme song. That's like kind of the tone of the theme song I was imagining. That sort of old Japanese TV show.
I love the shading on it. I love the block letters. It looks like something out of My Hero Academia. It looks like the title card.
Yeah.
The costumes are very Shotaro Ishinomori. They're like very Cyborg 009.
Yeah, definitely.
And Ichiji's pose looks really familiar. Has he done that before? Or
it's the first time he's smiling, I think, basically since we've been introduced to him. He might have once or twice, but he does not smile very often because he's too cool.
I mean, it looks like a Luffy pose, really.
Yeah.
Like, he's sort of like got his arm cocked. Like
the Gear 2 pose.
Yeah, exactly.
It may be a Toku reference that Toku Twitter will correct us on later.
Yeah, we
Judge
really.
Got a big spear. Look at that spear.
Any other comments? Yeah, we could also talk about this more at the end if you'd like. Okay, let's move on. As someone, I'm guessing this is Ichiji. Zloosh. That's how that all sounds, right? And Ichiji punches Sparking Red, which is, I assume, how that sounds.
Did he punch him in the tongue?
You can't not punch Perospero in the tongue.
I don't think his tongue.
He's all tongue.
He can grab some tongue along the way.
Maybe he did.
Yeah. I think
he
tongue
grazed the
fits
cheek
inside
into the tongue.
We also kind of get a Gatling gun kind of looking thing, as he's clearly punching very fast here because in this panel he has 3 arms. Unless that's
are those 3 right arms or like 1 right arm and 2 left arms?
I think it's 1 right arm and 2 left arms. It's a cool panel, don't get me wrong, but although to be fair, and he recovers in like 2 pages from now, but we'll talk about that later. And we have Electric Blue. I'm making up accents, I don't know. And we have Oven getting his I don't know, center grill handed to him as Kung Fu Chopper looks shocked. And Poison Pink.
Good God.
No.
Wow.
You mean there's nothing really else to say about that.
Some artful drawing there. That go along with like Nami's like boob sock dress that she was wearing on like page 1. Not a great week for the well, actually this is actually pretty well drawn. The Nami stuff is just bad art. This is just
just defies physics is the thing that you're trying to say.
Like this is some good fan service right here.
This is girl on girl action here.
There's a giant girl in there as well.
Yeah.
And Winch Green, our favorite Yonji, the biggest douche of them all, handing it to Genie Weenie as Carrot flies away in the background. And
Yanji's real power is to be a buzzkill.
Fair.
Yeah. I love that it's like anytime you have a team with different powers, it's like one guy always has to have the really crappy ones. It's like some team that has like fire and gravity and like earthquakes, and then one guy has to be the pulley, like the pulley power or something.
Oh, you mean like
friendship?
You mean Heart in Planeteers?
Yeah. Well, he was the most powerful.
Or the Wonder Twin guy with the water.
Wonder Twin powers active. Wait, there's only 2 of them.
Yeah, the guy. With
Yeah,
the
but
water
one of them
powers.
was really lame.
Yeah.
Steven.
All right, so we see the aftermath of Nami getting tossed up into the air, and fortunately Sanji is there. He was waiting for this moment to get off the table finally, so he jumps down and catches Nami, and they're all on the run as the Vinsmokes are just tearing shit up in the background.
I'm proud that Sanji did not have hearts in his eyes there.
Yeah.
Well, every time I look at this page, like in my peripheral vision, it looks like Nami has the berry eyes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because they're just like so like detailed.
And they share a little moment of relief there as he carries her on. And then there's this really odd, a little kind of inset of being like, oh my gosh, and it's not really entirely clear because you can't see her eyes, like what she is feeling here in this little reaction, but she's taking note of what's going on. And
it's a little weird how it's like it looks a little bit faded, like it.
Yeah, well,
normally
it's
done for
shading.
flashbacks.
Yeah, he put the shading tone over it. So
Yeah, he usually does that with stuff that's like dramatically in the foreground, like Luffy in the next panel right there does that too.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just emphasizing that
Okay,
we're not really seeing her her full expression, so it's kind of a slightly shrouded reaction from her. And then we see everybody is rushing up to the door of the Big Father where Luffy is waiting and cheering them on. We get another action shot of Germa trying to follow up the rear. Judge is kind of motioning them on as they kind of leave from the ass kicking that they've been delivering to all these guys. And then we return to Dufeld and the Tamate box, and he's thinking to himself, all right, let's see this fancy treasure. I'm far enough away now that no one will see me opening a Tamate box. And he's undoing the rope that is holding the box shut, and thinking to himself, gotta love a good chaotic diversion. Now I'll have the opportunity to switch out the contents. And then right there, I'm not really sure what is doing this. We can see Big Mom.
Looks like a couch.
Something, yeah. I mean, their stuff is flying, and apparently it either knocks him off his feet or he just gets a little echo of the slipstream of Big Mom screaming, and it just kind of tosses him up into the air. And the Tamate box flies away, and like everybody else who was like, oh boy, we're going to see the Tamate box finally opened, and then it flies over the edge. And so like Dufeld, we're like, no, wait, what? It was supposed to.
Yeah, but we all know what's in it.
Find out. I know, we were supposed to find out. And now it is falling off the cake. And oh well, so much for that plot point. I guess we'll never see it again.
I love how Dufeld is so shocked about this, he shatters his sunglasses from the inside.
Yep.
I assume that's because his eyeballs are piercing through them.
Right, yeah, because he's so shocked
Oh.
that this happened and disappointed. Sam.
So we turn the page, and the immediate first panel is like this cool sort of tilted angle where half of the Big Father's face is split in half. Like on the right, it's Capone. On the left, it's the Big Father. As everyone on the outside can see him. And he's taking aim at Big Mom with his cannons, and he's launching 3 cannonballs at once. Big Mom's still in her kind of hysteric mode, and we see a big candy wall show up, and it's Sparrow. And Capone is annoyed to see that somebody's getting in his way. Although we don't have much of a reason to think that the cannonballs would have hurt Big Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that much. All right, and Sparrow is saying, that hurt. Referring to the candy that I guess he can feel his own candy getting hurt I guess that's how it is.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And he's asking, is Germa in on your plot too? And he's saying that I hope you're ready for what's coming to you in favor of in return for launching this attack. And so Capone says, well, let's try a different angle. And he's now getting the other shoulder ready. I'll keep firing until I'm all out of ammo. They're all desperate, so they're going all out. He's fires cannons, but then his shoulders sort of explodes, and he's wondering what's happened. And his men have to tell him, from inside, "Godfather, all the cannons in the castle." ...
And we turn the page and we see the cannons just kind of blasted at the end, and we get another shot of they're jammed with mochi. They can't be fired, and so his weaponry is sealed, and Capone realizes, oh, karakuri. And so he's getting these reports from the men. I've got some bad news for all towers too. The Big Father's limbs are trapped under candy. We can't move anymore. So things are looking pretty bad. Perospero looks pretty triumphant here. We get this really cool kind of overhead shot of the Big Father, and you can see the kind of pool of candy that is just holding it down onto the ground. And so they're stuck in place. They're surrounded by Big Mom's crew, and they have to hide in the castle for a battle that they cannot hope to win. So a dire situation indeed. And then we see the family on the outside. They're all taking stock of the situation now. Perospero is thinking to himself, anyone who leaves that castle is going to be immediately dead. And Katakuri has freed Brûlé and is now scolding her for letting them just use her for every conceivable purpose. And she reminds him that she is the victim here, and that she wants him to destroy every last one of them.
How are they having this conversation with Mochi in their ears? That makes no sense to me.
And he's scolding her through thoughts, apparently.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah.
That's his observation hockey is so good that he could telepathically communicate with Brûlé.
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Smoothie is taking stock of the state of her Smoothie ringing arm, which has been poisoned by Reiju, and that's kind of bad news for her. She's kind of dripping. It looks pretty nasty, and we can see down at the bottom of the page, along with the kind of normal sized people, that the girl with the panda hoodie and the sharp teeth also just has straight up Panda Man right next to her.
And there's the Pringles guy. What did we call him again? We haven't seen him in a while.
With the hat?
Yeah, with the Pringles hat and the Pringles face.
Yeah, I don't know.
Steve had a good name for him, and I don't remember what it was. I think it was Steve or Alex.
Okay.
Oh, Steve was his name. I thought you were saying.
Oh,
yeah, Steve the Pringles guy.
Steve named him Steve.
Steve, here go the Pringles guy.
And so we go inside the Big Father now, where contrary to all expectations for the situation, Luffy is super excited. He's like, "Man, this is crazy, Badge! You can turn into a big old castle. That's awesome!" And Capone is not happy about this because there's no time for celebration. Get your head straight. Oh, we spent over a year on this assassination plan, and now it's all ruined. I never had a hit job backfire on me before. So we can see
there's a lot happening on this little panel too.
Yeah, there's a lot of characterization.
Vito?
We have, there's Vito is fanboying over Ichiji in the background. Which is pretty cool. Chiffon does not look happy with either with Capone or
talking over there.
yes, little baby Rook Peds, and Chopper is excited too, and the rest of the Vince folks are just kind of posing and looking cool.
Judge doesn't want to look like he's part of the group.
No,
is that Brooke hiding behind the couch?
I don't see him.
He might be sitting down because there's you could see two people are sitting down on the couch, but we don't see who that is.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's the pattern on Jinbei's outfit. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
the
what
very
it is.
bottom.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks familiar. I don't think that's Brooke.
Anyway, Sam, you want to round us off?
Yeah, so we can turn the page, and is Brooks very casually taking a sip of tea. He's like, oh, I guess that just goes to show how great the four emperors are. And Jimbei is asking, oh, so now what? And if anyone wants to take over Capone here for a second, but Capone's basically...
Stop you to get your heads in the gear, that's what. This castle's me. It's hardy, but it ain't invincible. The castle gets destroyed, I die, which means the castle disappears. and you all get tossed out there with the monsters.
So the castle isn't really much of a shield. It's just like a bigger Capone.
It's just my skin. So this just does, it does reinforce my opinion that they are, yes, in his colon. So.
And Capone, I think
Everything gets
Capone's
stuck
still
in
talking.
the colon.
I think Capone's the one saying it's hell out there, and it's hell being stuck in here. We're in dire straits. Don't you get it? And Casey, I'm going to have to summon you.
Just don't blame me, all right? Those launchers featured state-of-the-art, world-class.
And Capone, not all that interested in what Caesar's excuses are, is coughing up blood. He's taking some damage from what's going on outside. Luffy's asking him, "What's wrong, Bedge?" And Chiffon is asking him if he is okay, being the loving wife who cares about her husband's life, basically. And outside, there's something going on outside, and it is Big Mom, who is back in her right mind. She's not in her like wailing crybaby state. She's grabbing at the Big Father, yelling at them, "Yeah, sure, get out here, get out of that castle." And she's asking them to show themselves, and everyone's Capone's just having just absolute hell right now. Like blood is running down his face. It's like coming out of his eyes. It's actually getting kind of creepy now. And Big Mom is asking, "What is this, Beige? Did you betray me?"
And One Piece is off next week. So why don't we talk about this chapter before we complain about next week? Let's start with Sam, since you ended it.
Man, I'm not even entirely sure what to think of this chapter yet. The sort of the Sentai, like I don't know why I didn't expect Oda to just like go all out with the sort of Sentai presentation. I mean, like I think what I was expecting is like we were going to come out of that flashback and immediately there's going to be like their version of a Megazord already put together. So I didn't expect to get like the whole showmanship behind it. I'm excited to see that in the anime. I like seeing Big Mom like conscious again. Like I wasn't so keen on just everything being kind of centered around this like hissy fit she was throwing, where she didn't seem like she was all that different from her child self.
But they said like that with the KX launchers, they knew that they would only have a very brief period of time where she was out of control.
In Dragon Ball Z time, we all knew that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I expected it. I mean, I knew it wouldn't be like one chapter or something like that, but I knew it wouldn't go on forever.
I was afraid that like her crying fit was going to be like her ultimate form. Like that's her when she's like at her most dangerous and most vulnerable.
That's actually a more DBZ-esque. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
It's Broly. It's Broly is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's DBZ movie-esque is what I meant. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah,
Sam.
all the kids in second grade were sitting around talking about Caesar's KX launchers.
That's about all I have to say. I don't have too much.
All right.
Also, I found it weirdly cute when Sanji caught Nami. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly sweet moment between those two, which it's usually played for laughs.
My fingers are crossed that the hearts are downplayed in the future, but I know that is going to be a very high hope from me. Casey, thoughts on the chapter?
I will start by pointing out that we may not have seen heart eyes when Sanji caught her because his eyes were closed. So, but yes, I would like to see that downplayed as well. Overall, I think this chapter kind of moved right along. We got the Sentai team presentation we'd been looking for with Germa 66 all along, and then they didn't really get to do much with it yet. So I expect that sequence is going to be fairly spectacular whenever it happens in the anime. I'm
thinking that these are like the matchup fights now is the Germa guys versus the people they've clashed with in that one spread.
I don't think that's. They went in the house.
Well, I guess they're in the castle now.
They could go after whoever they want at this point. So
I guess it is worth pointing out that not only the Germa guy's there, but there's also a Straw Hat in each of those panels. So it could be a Straw Hat and a Germa person or something.
That would be a fun team up.
I like that.
overall enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed the Sentai team stuff. Going on with my prior characterization of Germa 66 as a bunch of douchey Ivy League frat bros, I now like to think that the substance spraying is like beer cans. They just
What, you want a party, bro?
preferred.
Come on. What's going on?
But yeah, overall, good chapter. I wasn't as into this as I was into the previous chapter, and I think that that having Big Mom go, "Did you betray me, Big?" is kind of a weak cliffhanger to go off on a week on. But you know, it is what it is. We'll get a cool fight between a Big Mom and a castle soon, and presumably.
Well, part of me thinks that she could just wreck him in one punch. I mean,
she's the one
Right,
punch
there's that
mom.
possibility.
She's the one
She's Big
punch
Mom.
mom. Yeah, we've discussed this already.
Yep.
I would personally have less of a cliffhanger to go out on, so I don't have to think about it every 30 seconds. What's happening next? As most of my life is revolved around that. Jeff, what did you think of this chapter?
I don't know. I found it a little bit lackluster. I mean, it felt like the Sentai power of transformation was like a long time coming. People have been, expecting that for a long time, and so it felt like it was the inevitable, had to include it at some point. And aside from that, it was pretty much just like some pretty basic and logical stuff happening, bridging to some more interesting stuff. And yeah, as people have said, like the climax is not very interesting. It's not a good cliffhanger. It's like, I feel like it could have been more interesting if it ended with like a exciting pose between like, Big Mom versus Big Father or something. But instead it's like, yeah, of course he betrayed you. Like that was like, it never made sense that she was trusting some external person to be the head of her security anyway. Like that never made any sense. And so, yeah, it feels a little bit lackluster. And I mean, I think it all depends how it's going to,
Well, he was married
eventually
into
go
a
down.
family.
Not only
Yeah.
that, I feel like she rules by fear anyway, and like the idea of someone betraying her, I feel like is outside of her realm because she's like, no one could beat me anyway, kind of that kind of thing. Maybe I'm.
She'll swallow your soul. She'll swallow your soul.
Exactly.
I guess so. And I don't know, I feel like the chapter had a couple little things that are a bit frustrating. I mean, the moment with Sanji and Nami was nice. It was sweet, but it also like it's pretty uncomfortable in terms of like Nami not being able to fight for herself, and also making it like, Sanji. It's basically like a reward for Sanji being cool earlier. It's like, oh yeah, he handled his family well, and now he gets the reward of Nami in his arms, and it's like, that's a little uncomfortable. And yeah, and I think also, I don't know. I mean, the stuff with Big Mom in the last couple chapters, I think, has been really great. I mean, the reveal of what happened with Mother Carmel was great, but I think I don't know. I commented on this on Twitter a little bit last week that the kind of the reveal that her mentality now is like basically Arrested Development from when she was 6, at least before she stopped screaming, is uncomfortable for me, because I think I don't know. I find it frustrating because it's basically playing to this mean and hurtful stereotype that obese people are like have unlimited greed and are basically like children and can't control their impulses at all. And it's like that's like Big Mom's character to a T, and making it so that she like has like completely Arrested Development and has the same goals she had when she was 6, and basically acts just like when she was 6, that she's wearing this big childish polka dot dress, makes me uncomfortable. And I mean, let's see how it really plays out in the next couple chapters before
To be
making
fair,
a final judgment on that.
to be fair, Luffy has all the same qualities,
I
including
don't know.
wearing
The thing-
similar things. I feel like, right?
Like the thing about Big Mom is the way I felt about her, at least, is that we don't know what caused her to be as strong as she is, but that's like, I feel like Big Mom is what happens when you let someone who has like unlimited power and doesn't have, basically is capable of destroying everything, and no one is capable of reasoning with them. And it's just that they never have to modulate their power. They're always overpowering. They can always get whatever they want. It's like, it's lesson about never. It's like never.
It's the lesson from Willy Wonka with the really spoiled girl who falls down the chute.
Oh, right, Veruca Salt.
There
But
you go.
yeah, it's just she was never denied anything because she was so strong. We never know why she is so strong, and that's part of the thing that still makes me interested in what her further backstory is. Like, how did she get to be this way in the first place. But
she still has a lot of mystique. Ed, you might as well continue since you started. Yeah,
I enjoyed this chapter quite a bit. It wasn't very plot heavy, but there was a lot of great stylistic flourishes. I thought I love the way. I mean, actually, I like the way on the last page where Big Mom is like towering over the Big Father. Like, because in an earlier panel, we see how much smaller she actually is than it, and it's like 2 or 3 times her size, and she's like towering over it, like gonna punch it in the head because she's the strongest being alive, and basically she's gonna destroy him, which is really appealing. And I love this sort of Dutch tilt angle with the split face. That's great. Just a lot of little stylistic flourishes. And the Germa reveal, it was a lot of fun. As I mentioned earlier, like the fan service in this chapter is kind of it's out there. And although I felt Nami was drawn kind of poorly in a couple of instances, as I mentioned before. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I mean, I feel like it's not a chapter. I feel like it's a chapter that I'm going to go back to later on just to look at the art and look at the Germa reveal, because I don't always go back to like some of the more plot heavy chapters. I wouldn't just go back to them like reading it as if I wasn't doing like a read through. But I feel like I would go back and look at this one in a little, in every couple months or so.
This is going to be one of those spreads you see in like years, just like pop up places on the internet, like
as are going to pose on a table.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool. Yes.
Oda's art still has the ability to like, stun me or really, really impress me, and that's one of the things I love about One Piece.
If this were 2007, I'd say this would be everyone's forum signature coming up. But
Steven, you have a Discord now, Zach.
I don't think you have signatures for those, but Steven.
Nope.
I will say those forum signatures back in 2007 or whatever year it was spoiled who the members of CP9 were for me 10 years in advance.
How did you remember? Anyway, Steven.
I agree with Ed that I think it was for a chapter that did not have a lot of dialogue. It was certainly extremely rich with visual information. Like all those action scenes, like there's just so much going on. It was a nice treat to get a 19-page chapter again. It's been a long time since Oda did one of those. I feel like it was very clearly a chapter that was kind of meant to consolidate the chaos of the scene. So we kind of, from it being basically everyone out in the open, where anything could happen, to getting everyone inside the castle. So now there is at least a very temporary kind of stalemate going on. We don't know how long that's going to last. If it's going to be something where,
she's yelling, "Get out!"
Right. By the end of next chapter, if it's going to be like, okay, Bedge is losing control, or if it's just going to be, within a matter of pages or something. I'm not sure where he's going with this, but at the very least, it's meant to kind of keep this from just immediately turning into battle central. So we'll see. I kind of like that idea of if you're going to have individual fights, like kind of doing the Germa and Straw Hat member versus the top siblings sort of thing. That's a neat idea, but I'm still not convinced that that's necessarily where Oda is going to take this arc, or whether it's going to be kind of more just straight to Big Mom. I wasn't surprised. I guess I would say I wasn't turned off by the end of the chapter, because Big Mom hasn't been in her conscious mind essentially through all of this. So this would be the first moment where she realized that Bedge had turned on her, and that's what was kind of behind all of the chaos that had been happening to the Tea Party. So I thought that was a good way to signal, okay, now she's back, and now and all bets are off, kind of. I really don't know. And I was surprised, like I said on the Tamate Box page, I was like, oh yes, we're finally going to see it. It's finally going to come into play. And then he just kicks it further down the road. That actually made me even more intrigued by it, because it was like, okay, well, if he's going to kick the Tamate Box out of the wedding scene here, then what the hell is he going to use it for It's going to be sitting at the base of the cake itself. So I guess it could be something really catastrophic if the explosion is meant to like not completely destroy the cake or what. But that seems cool. But now the 2-week waiting period is going to be tough, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we've been waiting for the resolution of the Tamate box since 2011. So if I have to wait, I have to wait. We already know what's in there, so for us as readers, it's just how is that going to play out? For those who don't know, it's explosives. Not
Do we know how strong the explosives are?
No.
I mean, I would hope it's pretty good because otherwise he's just been wasting our time.
Yeah, what's the point?
It just fizzes out because it's been sitting there for so long.
But I can't imagine any important character getting affected that much by explosives.
Maybe there's a nuclear bomb sitting in there.
Oh yeah,
Zach,
we're gonna find out Caesar built it and nothing happened.
Hell, Zach.
Similarly,
no.
sorry.
Who's Sam? Go for it.
I was gonna say kind of on that note. There's the question of what is Reiju's power like? How is Reiju's powers going to factor in? Because we were all kind of assuming that they were for the rocket launchers going wrong or something.
Which they did, but didn't affect.
Well, but that Reiju didn't factor into that. But this chapter did bring up Reiju's powers again with that little smoothie bit, so it makes you think that there is still like a plan for.
And with Smoothie, I guess she also absorbs everything, so it's especially troublesome for her. I don't know. This chapter I really enjoyed. I think this is kind of the definition of one of Oda's entertaining kind of chapters. I don't think there was, I think it was mostly just, fun stuff and not necessarily meat to the bones. I don't know how this analogy works, and I've lost it a long time ago. With the Tamate box, I'm glad we're getting, what were they called? The group of them? With Dufeld and Big News and
the Underworld Kingpins or whatever. Yeah,
I'm glad we're seeing more of them. The more of them, the better. I really enjoyed all of those character designs, especially Big News Morgan's, who better become a major character in this arc, or else I'm going to be majorly disappointed.
I mean, do you know if he can fly? Maybe he's going to fly down and get the Tamate box.
I don't know what he's going to do, but it better be incredible. First off, Morgan's just needs to be like the One Piece meme at the end of the day here. And I don't just mean at the end of the day of this arc, I mean at the end of the day of the series. Anyway, I should probably get back to talking about the chapter. I thought as Ed mentioned, this was definitely a chapter for art, and I really enjoyed kind of the lack of dialogue in this chapter. And I think the screaming in the background with Big Mom has forced Oda to do some really cool visual stuff. And obviously the Power Rangers Sentai, whatever you want to call it, transformation was very cool to see, although slightly hampered by the fact that we've already seen these outfits before when we first met them. I believe for all of them, correct? I'm not 100% sure about we've seen
maybe they've been upgraded. Who knows?
And Niji. I don't think they've been upgraded. They look the same. Yeah. That's the only disappointing thing about it. I kind of wish we hadn't seen it up to this point, but whatever. It's here. We're there. It's cool. I don't know if there's anything else I have to add about it except that the Big Mom versus Big Father thing is really cool. And I guess Mom beats Dad here. Pretty hands down, it seems. We'll see how that ends up, though.
He's got the size advantage, but
it's not going to work against an Emperor. I'm very curious how Luffy's going to factor into this because he is the main character. And he's been kind of on the sidelines for quite some time at this point. And also just how Big Mom's rage against the Straw Hats here factors into all of this. Super curious to see where things go in 2 weeks. Any other thoughts? Jeff.
I'm actually getting a vibe. I mean, it's probably a pretty obvious vibe, but when she's climbing the castle, a King Kong vibe. And then but it's kind of reversed, right? Instead of having the monkey climbing the castle to get the girl, maybe it's the woman climbing the castle to get the monkey.
Nice.
She's Queen Kong, I guess. I don't even.
Yeah.
Queen
She's
Kong.
punching it down like the game Rampage.
Any other final thoughts?
She's it's not Whole Cake Island, it's New Mom City.
On that note, let's move on into the next segment.
This is the anime recap for episode 793, A Seafaring Kingdom, Germa's King Judge. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have Ed. How's it going, Ed?
It's going all right. I really like this week's episode. I was prepared to not like it.
Yeah,
but...
this is gonna be a you and me episode. I've been trying to get at least 3 people in each week, but didn't happen this time. But that's okay, because the screenplay this week is by Hitoshi Tanaka. Episode director and storyboard artist is Hatsumi Tokoro, and animation director. I have not seen this guy with an animation director credit since I've been doing these recaps. It is Himetaka Ito, who I actually looked up a bit. He's done key animation on One Piece, but he's also his episode directing credits includes JoJo. So.
Really? Because I felt that certain parts of this were very horror-ish.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was the first season of JoJo's.
Anyway. Yeah. And it was season 1 and the Stardust Crusaders.
All right. Because the Germa kids will get there.
Yeah. So covering what equivalent manga chapters we've got here. We've got the last 7 pages of chapter 832 and the first 8 of 833. So we're still not 1 chapter per episode, but it felt pretty good this week. It felt right.
My problem with the episode, to the extent that there was one, was that it's very obviously slowed down.
Yeah.
But I felt it worked with the mood, at least a little bit.
If I wasn't thinking about it for these past few episodes, I probably wouldn't have noticed. I probably would have just taken it at face value that was a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So the episode begins with Germa 66 arriving at the port of Whole Cake Island. It's basically, we're learning that the way their castle works is it's a series of these giant transponder snail ships. They're basically giant puzzle pieces that fit together. And
they're Legos.
Yeah, they're Legos. And we're told that in most cases the ships travel independently, and only on occasions do they come together to form the whole castle.
And I was thinking of something I noticed was that I think they've changed the flag for Germa in the anime. I feel like in the manga it was a cross. It was more Christian, I think, because it was based directly on Nordic flags like Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, Finland.
I wish I had that chapter.
But
right
instead
now.
of a cross, it's just sort of a single bar across, and it fits in with the Lego because Lego is from Denmark.
Mm-hmm. So. We're basically just getting a rundown that most of the citizens of Germa... the narrator actually also explains that Germa 66 is the name of the one and only seafaring kingdom without a land of its own. So this is the only country that still counts as a country despite not having a physical island.
And this is actually where I felt the padding was the heaviest, because they were very slowly going over, showing these guys just sort of sparring with each other.
But it looked really nice. The sparring of the grunts looked pretty good.
And it also gives us a sense of the scale of the castle and whatnot. It's the kind of thing you can get away with doing slowly. I feel like more in the beginning of an arc, but we're almost out of the beginning of this arc at this point.
Yeah, and
because we're in the Seducing Woods.
Yeah,
I wonder how long this anime is going to keep us in the Seducing Woods.
Yeah. Because the Seducing Woods at this point is weaving in and out with a lot of the Sanji stuff here, but talking about the scale of the castle, we get this great kind of pan-up shot where we see tiny Sanji in the distance. We really get a sense of how big this castle is compared to him. He's just sort of looking down, being kind of pensive about his whole situation. Inside the castle is his sister asking him come inside, and he's basically telling her to shove off, and she's saying how could you say that to your sister who you haven't seen in 13 years? And then the camera kind of does an interesting thing where it creeps up Rage's body, and it very distinctly gets close-up shots of her chest and her lips and stuff. And maybe this is just me. I did not think it was that creepy for some reason. It was clearly kind of male gazing.
No, I don't know. It set off my creep meter a little bit.
Oh, I don't know. It just felt look at this. Well, it's not Sanji's eyes.
Yeah,
it's like the animator saying hey, look how we've managed to draw this pretty girl. Sanji is pointing out the tasteless picture on the wall, the one that it's his father Judge, and you've got the 4 kings' heads that have been beheaded, and it's the story of the conquest of the 4 nations, which we actually get an animated segment for, and where we see these 4 different kings at Judge's feet begging him for whatever they're begging him over, and he just sort of, it's just like one kick and he knocks them all over, and then slashes his spear.
Doing the full doing like a full scene flashback for the painting is very, very anime, but also the bit of just Sanji like being so disgusted by it, like it's so tacky.
It's the tackiness that offends him.
I don't know if you,
it's not the violence, it's how
you're
gauche it
familiar
is.
with the baseball player Alex Rodriguez, but he is rumored to have a portrait of himself drawn as a centaur in his bedroom. So it kind of reminds me of that.
So Reiju's basically trying to coax him back into the life of royalty, saying, why don't you enjoy being a member of the privileged royalty rather than stay with the silly pirate group? She's offering him these various handmaidens who are willing to do anything that he asks. And Sanji being Sanji, he's got his big heart eye. And they went as far as like putting a little detail around like the socket where the eye is like popping out and actually looks a little weirder than normal. And it's around the middle that the art kind of loosens up and it gets a little ugly again. Like there's a particular like profile shot of Sanji's face that I thought looked really badly drawn. But we introduce the man himself, Vinsmoke Judge. They call him General Isimo in the subtitles, which I thought was it's just a fun word to say. Judge's voice actor is Hideyuki Hori, who I guess was Captain Ginyu in Dragon Ball.
It's interesting. I couldn't really place his voice. Then again, yeah,
I thought it was noteworthy that he sounded like a lot older and a lot kind of like more nasally and like whiny than I expected him to. Like,
did you expect him to sound like cooler? Kind of.
I did expect him to sound cooler. And
I can see that, yeah.
I feel like this almost feels like it's kind of adjusting expectations for the character a little bit, where like I know that kind of the conversation around Judge is there's a lot of people who are disappointed that he's kind of
a scumbag.
He's kind of a scumbag, but he's also kind of a lame scumbag as we go through the story. Spoilers for anime people, I guess. But this is almost like tempering expectations for like how cool he's intended to be through the story.
And interesting enough, Hori also voiced a character in Perfect Blue. It's not an an anime you see on a lot of people's resumes.
Isn't that like a movie?
Yeah, it's a Satoshi Kon film. It's one of my favorite anime movies. But there's not much crossover with people who are in that who are in One Piece. Yeah.
Sanji is telling him to stop calling him his son. Sanji does not want to be called Judge's son. Even if I have someone who I call a father, it's not you. Which, if anyone who's into the father-son relationship of Zeph and Sanji, are probably very heartwarmed. I liked how the handmaidens in the background are like super shocked. They're scandalized, and there's sort of this question. They're talking about Yonji and they kind of showed part of the fight last week between Sanji and Yonji. We cut back now, and we learn that Sanji basically just beat Yonji because he's clearly stronger, which is a big surprise to everyone. Judge tells him to step outside because men should talk with their fists. And this brings us back to a brief sort of breath in the Sanji stuff where we return to the seducing woods. We get a little bit of music playing, but ultimately there's barely even a scene of the seducing woods. Like nothing really happens.
I almost would have preferred it not being in there. Like
I agree.
Even if we dragged out the German stuff a little bit more, but
I think the strength of this episode is it has is a strong thing to focus on.
Anyone who's been with us since Dressrosa knows that I think the cross-cutting between different scenes in the anime of Dressrosa is the reason you're hosting this segment right now.
It just gets exhausting. Like it's easier to focus on one thing that's stretched out than like a lot of things that are stretched out but don't really feel like they mean a lot.
Right. And I think Dressrosa, it's nowhere near as bad as it was back then. But
traditionally in One Piece, like the action portions of an arc, or the very action-centered arcs, are the ones that get screwed the most in pacing. So they go outside. Oh, there's also the scene where we're in Yonji's personal castle. I guess each of the brothers and each of the family members gets their own little castle within this bigger castle. and he's getting fixed up because his face is like caved in because Sanji fought him, and the
He's
doctor
apparently
has
made
to,
out of metal.
yeah, his doctor has to like use this cartoon mechanism to like smash his face back into shape, which reminds me of when Sanji would kick people's faces. Beautiful. So there's
God, what was his name? The ramen guy.
Wanzi and also Duval.
Right.
So there's a Sanji versus Judge fight. This all looks pretty good. There's a lot of like Judge stabbing at him with the spear and Sanji's dodging. When Sanji starts fighting back, Judge is like, "Oh, how dare you kick your real father?" Which confused me because Judge was the one who told them they should be fighting right now. Now he's saying,
that
like,
was weird.
why dare you fight after I told you to fight? Sanji insists that he does not think of his family as his family. If he's going to marry Pudding, it's only going to be for pretend. And this connects us to the child Sanji flashback. We see baby Sanji. It's the return of Ikue Otani as Sanji. He's cooking like this little, I'm not a food guy, it's just a little pot pie type thing, but he's got something in the oven. He's cooking it, and then his brothers find him and they beat him up. They're like, "Aha, how dare you cook, you weakling." And
cooking is for servants.
Yeah, cooking
basically.
is for servants. They're beating.
I
them
love
up.
this. I love this whole scene. Like Sanji's like joy of cooking, and also like his brothers being total bastards. When they're drawn, like especially Yonji is drawn like a giant mouth monster of like.
Yeah.
It's weird looking. It's kind of alienating. I think it works for them because it makes them look like characters in like a horror movie. Like
and I was
Corner.
also intrigued by like how genuinely angry Ichiji seemed. He's like, why are you so weak while we're strong? Like he's genuinely offended by the fact that Sanji's weak. And Judge and Reiju arrive, and Sanji is asking, "Oh, please help, but Judge is just being the worst parent ever by saying like, why?
Say,
like,
clearly,
why should I help you? I have
Sanji.
no obligation to help you." I'm like, dude, you are his parent.
Yeah, that's how this family is, and it's also interesting because it's Chopper's voice actress.
Mm-hmm. And Reiju's also super interesting in this episode because she just kind of watches everything and smiles and laughs and is kind of unfazed by everything, which is weird. And then they leave, and the kids continue to beat on Sanji. There's this particular part where Ichiji and Niji are like holding Sanji back and like, "Oh, Yonji, get a running start." And like the way it's executed, like the way that the camera just sort of sits there and like we just have to watch like Yonji get that running start and then come over and headbutt Sanji. Like it really stings. Like it actually is crazy effective in this sequence. And we return to the present.
Is that the whole like the crack in the wall? Was that? Did we see that like earlier in this arc? Like they put a crack in the wall where they hit Sanji really hard.
I think before Judge showed up, that's the crack in the wall they were referring to last episode. I think we return to the present where Judge is tossing Sanji a sword because hey, I trained you to use a sword, so you better use it. And Sanji refuses, saying that he will only ever use his hands for cooking, and he has a little cool moment where he's pulling a cigarette out, he's lighting it, he's giving his, I guess, one-liner, and then boom, the episode ends. General thoughts on the episode?
It was obviously slowly paced, but I felt the mood of especially the young Germa aspect of it was very well done. Like I felt Sanji's pathos, and I really hate the little kids and sort of wonder about what their motives were. And the way the anime rendered them, I thought it was very kind of scary.
Yeah, I thought this episode was really strong for the most part. I think like the art got a little wonky in the middle, but I agree with your sentiments pretty much entirely. I think this is a really effective episode. I didn't even think about the pacing, honestly. Like I was just interested in what was on the screen enough that the fact that it was slow was not an issue. Which is how I want this show to be executed, because I know it has to be slow. Like just the way it is designed, it's designed to be slow. So I will take I'll take an episode that is good at being slow every week if we can get one. So
I don't know.
Yeah. Any other thoughts you want to wrap up, or can we move on to the next?
No, I'm just looking forward to next week.
All right, let's go.
Deep, 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 deep.
I'm counting that, Casey. This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, theories, and transform them. So why don't we start out with our all-new segment, Ed, it's...
Did we decided on a name for this?
I think that's what we're calling it.
Okay.
I thought Ed was...
Wasn't sure if you were joking back then, but yeah, it's Dispiece.
That's what we're doing from now on. I like it. Discord was worth it just for that voice.
Somebody give me a baseline.
I might add that. So we're gonna only be taking again from our Patreon channel. So if you want to ask questions on Discord, they will be guaranteed to be asked. Even if we've asked something like it already, we will still go through it. So let's go through our questions. First one comes from Straw Hat Pirate 9. Any ideas or wild guesses as to how Luffy and the others are going to get the heck out of this mess? Also, that little panel of pudding when Sanji caught Nami, what was that about? I feel like the fake drama. I feel the fake drama. Yeah, any thoughts on Luffy and pudding? Not all at once, guys.
Was pudding in this chapter?
Yes, that brief... Remember
that one
that?
cutaway?
Yes,
okay.
she's the gasping mouth when
Oh, okay. That actually kind of makes that scene worse.
it does much.
She's
Yeah.
jelly.
Oh man.
If that's the implication, then I would agree that does.
I think
seem
that is
dumb.
the
I
implication.
can't believe I completely missed that. Anyway.
Yeah, it also perhaps undoes all of the previously built goodwill, and as long as it doesn't culminate in some kind of one-sided love triangle thing.
Hancock, yeah.
Yeah.
Any
I don't know.
Robinson.
any thoughts on how they're getting out of this mess?
Punch.
I think it has to be something that hasn't. It's not like an element that we've seen already that's clearly gonna be clearly predict. I think there's so many variables.
Well, there was one person on Reddit who said it. I'll just give you a little preview here. Leviathan Iris did say, is it above or below 60% chance that the Super Sentai Vinsmokes make the Big Father their Megazord / Mega Daddy? So like if they somehow dock onto the Big Father.
Oh, I
Whoa.
hope. I like that.
Mm.
It goes from Power Rangers to Voltron, is what you're saying.
Well, it's
the
all
same
kind of the same. Yeah.
I guess. Did the Power Rangers have any sort of giant robot?
It was a Megazord.
Oh my god.
Have you noticed?
Were you
I know
not 7 years old at one point?
Steve could attest that no, I was never 7.
Zach was born at the age of 40 with a briefcase.
And yet I podcast about a cartoon. Next question comes from our very own Ash. What will Big Mom's status be at the end of Whole Cake Island? I'm personally pushing for her to die because I feel she and the other emperors will be taken out to make way for the new generation. Alternatively, is it possible that Chopper and Caesar could, quote unquote, cure Big Mom's hunger pangs and reverse her gigantism, thus helping her achieve her dream of sitting at eye level with her family, and maybe weaken her in the process?
I would much prefer that to killing her.
Yeah, I like the little mom theory.
I still think that seeing everyone on eye level was a metaphor that she misinterpreted.
It could
Well,
be,
sure.
but yeah, I think that's
But
interesting.
doesn't mean that the heart doesn't want what it wants.
You know, this is still One Piece. The odds-on favorite is still, punching.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, punching is probably going to be involved.
And then Big Mom will show up in a cover story 20 volumes from now.
Let's go to emails. Ed, our email song that we always do.
email.
Just copied that one from Homestar Runner. Anyway,
That is a 15-year-old joke. It's up for grabs.
everyone know that jokes lose their copyright after 15 years. Really?
Homestar Runner 15 years old? Really?
I can't believe that.
Oh god.
I'm
No,
so
like
old.
Trogdor was when I was like a sophomore in high school.
No, he is right.
Yeah.
I think I was
No.
15 when all that.
It's that
came out.
old.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So our first email comes from Maddie, who says, I had a weird thought. Do you think that Oda had the idea of Sanji's family figured out from the start? or do you think it only started to take form after he changed the name from Naruto to Sanji? Or I'm going to posit this, somewhere in between there. Also, who else cannot wait till Ichichi, Niji, Yonji, and Reiju's transformation sequences are in the anime?
That'd be great.
Yep, I think that's going to be really good.
I would say that he probably had a general idea for Sanji's backstory throughout all of this, but I very much doubt that he had like all of the siblings like planned out and designed and everything like that before like setting up for Whole Cake Island. There have been a few little instances, like I forget if we mentioned this on the podcast, but people were pointing out that back in Jaya, when they did the submerging and the salvaging scene, that when they go in their little barrels under the water, that in the wrecked ship, like Sanji picks up a photo, like a framed picture of a woman with blonde hair, and he has like these ellipses on his thing, and there's no comment, like it's just Sanji like contemplating this picture of a lady who kind of looks like his mom later on, and I thought that was really interesting, and that was like the strongest piece of evidence I'd ever seen that Oda did have this idea for Sanji's actual family backstory.
You also wonder how much of that backstory he thought of when, like, he first introduced Sanji. Like, he's a stranded kid. He's working alone on a ship, and the ship is attacked by pirates. How does a kid get on a ship in the first place? I wonder how far back he thinks about that stuff.
Right.
And I mean, the seeing the blonde woman could have just been like, yeah, he assumes the mom's going to be blonde. Like it might not mean that he has the family fully planned out. Just like, yeah, at some point there's definitely going to be a blonde mother.
I've often commented that Oda, like one of Oda's great strengths is this sort of restlessness that he seems to have, where like every arc kind of has its own unique visual styles and things. And I think as much as he plans things ahead, I think he also leaves himself a lot of room to make quite a bit of it up as he goes along to keep himself interested in doing it.
Yep. That sounds right.
Next email comes from Eric from Panama. Thank you for writing in this week, Eric. I'm going to just summarize a little bit. He thinks that the Whole Cake Island arc has been the most fun reading week to week as far as he could remember. What has been an arc that you feel that way about, the most enjoyable to read week to week? I know Casey...
this is the only arc I've read week to week, so I agree.
Same for me, so...
Marineford. I caught up with the manga at like the end of Marineford, and that's still probably the best week to week.
Yeah, because I had caught up at the end of Ennie's Lobby, so Marineford was like earth shattering.
I caught up at the end of Thriller Bark, and I have to say the Shabari arc was that was the first arc I came out of, and that was really thrilling and cut kind of short for those who haven't read it. So yeah, maybe that for me. Steven, you've been reading a while.
Yeah, since the middle of Skypiea, week to week.
Do you have a favorite since then?
I don't know. That's a very hard question to answer.
Okay, I guess I'm not going to put you on the spot any more than this. Next one comes from Ryan. I wanted to ask this a while ago, but what were your thoughts on the Samurai Jack series finale and season 5 as a whole? I will not let any of you answer that question because I have not yet finished it.
I also have not yet finished it.
I only saw the first 2 episodes.
Me too, and they were very good. I just have to catch up. We will maybe at some point in the future on Patreon or something. We'll have a discussion on that.
Ask that question in a year. I don't know.
Yeah, a couple months. Also, to make it One Piece related, if Blackbeard fought Aku, would he be able to absorb Aku with the dark fruit, or vice versa? Now we're getting into some real.
Yeah. That's tough.
All right, well,
I don't really know what we're talking about.
They have very similar powers, I'd say.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
There's lots of just amorphous darkness that can take any shape.
Anyway, why don't we go to Reddit? Ed, our Reddit song.
What?
That's the Reddit song.
That's it.
That's the sound I make when I'm reading Reddit at work.
All right. we'll start here. There's a little an opportunity for education here. Bakugan, who is known as Noah, would like to know, what sites do you use to stream anime and manga? Well, let's see. What the anime is? What are your options? Basically,
So you have
Crunchyroll,
Funimation, or OnePieceOfficial.com, which is owned by Funimation. VRV, yeah, which is owned by Crunchyroll and Funimation.
Hulu gets some Viz titles.
Yeah, Hulu doesn't have the most recent anymore, I think, is the...
No.
Okay, I was going to say that kind of went into jeopardy, didn't it?
Yeah.
Recently.
Hulu
They
even
lost a lot of
responded...
stuff.
Hulu responded to a fan apologizing for it, too. I assume that is on Toei's end.
Yeah, I think Toei removed all their stuff from Hulu.
It's a business thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it
Hulu
wasn't
also
through
lost the
Viz.
Criterion Collection, so they've just kind of been bleeding a
Oh,
lot of things
ooh.
lately.
Yeah.
That's a real shame still.
They discovered that people don't want streaming services for back catalog. They want it for new stuff, apparently.
Does VizMedia.com still have it? They had it through Hulu at some
No.
point. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think with the Hulu stuff gone, it's not on Viz.com anymore.
So,
Is
that's where you
Neon
can find
Alley
the-
still around?
no. Not for a very long time.
Is what?
I found one of those. I found a card for a free trial of Neon Alley from like a convention from
It
like
got-
5 years
it
ago.
got
Oh,
absorbed.
Neon Alley. Wow.
Yeah.
I think I have business cards at Neon Alley, but it's been like it was gone before I got there. So
We
What about
interviewed
Daisuke?
the head of that. I think it might still be on Daisuke. They might also have been through Hulu, and I can't remember. If you were watching it, I'll say, I don't know about internationally, but if you're watching it anywhere else, it is not legal, as far as I know.
No.
I was shocked to find out it was not on UK's Crunchyroll, which, as like one of the larger English-speaking populations, I'm a little surprised about that. If it is not in your country, please send a letter or email or tweet or however you contact your local corporations about getting it in your country.
And even for like Crunchyroll and Funimation, correct me if I'm wrong, you can watch the latest episode or two without having a paid account.
Correct.
In standard def,
Every
yes.
show. Some shows you have to wait a week.
One Piece, I think you can
Mhm.
watch right away. From what I
Yeah.
recall, last time we had Miles on, I think.
I think in
Yeah.
standard definition.
We live in
Yeah.
a golden age of simulcasts. There really is no and quite a bit of it is available for free, even on like YouTube and things, like from legal sources. There really is no reason to visit
Not
the
One
pirate
Piece.
sites these days.
Yeah. One Piece
No,
is
not
not
One
on
Piece,
YouTube,
but One Piece
yeah.
is freely available on Crunchyroll.
Wasn't it on the...
yeah, this question was like generally about I think anime and manga in general. So I think I want to point people to for anime if you're if you're looking for a certain title and you're not sure which of all these 15 plus services or whatever, there's a website called because.moe where you can search. I don't know exactly how many regions it has, but it isn't just the US. I think it has UK and a couple other regions too.
What's the
so-
website?
Is the question asking where a person could find it, or are they asking what we use specifically?
What we use specifically, I think, also. But it might as well... Oh, no, they're asking what good sites can I stream.
Oh, okay.
This person
Yeah.
uses a website we would not recommend.
So the site is because.moe.
MOE. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
And
so
it lets you
people
know
listening.
where all the things are.
Hey Mo. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's-
You have
that-
to... Yeah.
That sounds like a good resource.
And for manga, hey, use the Shonen Jump app if you're reading Shonen Jump stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, if the manga's not in your country, contact your local manga distributor. And if you need a voice to yell at your local manga, or not yell, but try and convince your local manga distributor, we would be happy to be that voice that they don't listen
Oh.
to or might listen to. Who knows?
And if you feel like paying twice for anime, you can use Anime Strike from Amazon.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's no one's favorite.
No.
No.
Do they have One Piece on there? I don't think they do.
I don't think they do.
No.
No.
They
There's
have
other-
exclusives, and it's always really sad when they get them.
And if you don't care about being up to date on the anime, please get the DVDs, and whatever else might be available either on Amazon or Right Stuff, or you get it. What's next, Steven?
So Matsar lets us know. So the real life Al Capone's grave is in the Mount Carmel Cemetery. That's in Illinois. Considering we know now that Mother Carmel's quote-unquote grave is in Big Mom's stomach, do you think this could be a hint that Big Mom will eat Capone? Also, do you think Sanju will get any changes, be it in his title or his design, to represent him accepting his heritage?
He's not accepting his heritage, right?
No, it doesn't seem like it. I kind of doubt that.
I kind of want him to get a Germa canister, though.
That would be fun to see.
What's his nickname?
Yeah,
Something.
it'd be
I think
fun
he's
to
yellow.
see.
I think we're confident he's yellow now instead of black.
At the same time, I'd also be a little disappointed to see that. It's like I'd have a pretty combined reaction there of happiness and not happiness.
The consensus on this week's official Shonen Jump podcast was that if he had a title like the other Germa brothers, it would be brothers and siblings would be pervy yellow.
Sounds good.
It could also be yeah. I'm not going to beat that. Go ahead.
So yeah, any thoughts about Capone getting eaten in this arc?
I hope he
Seems
well, you know,
unlikely.
he eats everyone else technically. So maybe the other way around.
We
too
just
many-
started liking him. I don't want him to go now.
Well,
No.
he might not die. He might just be in her stomach and somehow bust out of there, like kind of alien style.
Also,
he has to regain his strength first.
in terms of the people inside of people, I feel like we need like the Monty Python sketch guy who comes in and says like, no more Inception. This is too much Inception. You have to shut this sketch down. And I think that would be too much.
Next.
All right, let's see. D Freed says, "Hey OPP pals, what do you think about Big Mom's intelligence? With last week's Strusen reveal, the possibility of Big Mom being purely the muscle of her crew was raised. This would bum me out because it would take away her agency and make her less provocative. It's hard to tell how involved she is in the crew's plans since her character is pretty much a petulant child who gets what she wants when she wants it. We know Big Mom's aware of her crew's plans, but does she understand the lay of the world and how to maneuver around it? How can she be a 4 Emperor without it? What do you guys think?"
This is like my primary concern right now. Like this is exactly sort of like what I'm thinking about, and what kind of like what kind of bothered me about the last few chapters is that it just feels like she's an idiot who has been led around to this point.
So it's like she's a ruler who just does stuff and assumes everyone will, just does whatever comes to her, and then doesn't care for regulations or
You see, I feel like
conventions or
yeah. I was gonna say I feel like she's more analogous to a certain person.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like I want each of the 4 emperors to stand as an example of the kind of person you have to be an emperor.
No, I think they should.
Kaido is
They
an
can be
awful
bad
drunk.
examples.
Yeah.
Yeah,
could-
they can have like their
Luffy doesn't want to be an
character
emperor.
flaws and stuff.
Luffy wants to be the Pirate King. So screw the emperors, punch them in the face, and then get on to being the Pirate King. I mean, I am fine with Big Mom being a bad example. I definitely want her to have agency and some intelligence, even if it's very misguided intelligence. So I prefer her to be a little bit more heroic than the orange-haired individual that we are referring to.
yeah.
I don't think.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say if it goes as far as like Strusen manipulating her and like being behind, like pulling the strings behind the scenes, I think that'd be really bad. And I think we all kind of hope that.
I don't know if
case.
anyone's like strong enough to really pull the strings on Big Mom though.
Steve
Yeah,
Bannon.
I don't know if I agree.
Right.
I don't know if I agree
Yeah.
that that's what's going on.
Yeah, I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
that is.
I hope not. I don't think so. But
Also,
it's
she
a
was
possibility.
she was 6 at that time, so
Right, she
at
was a
that
kid.
time it makes sense. But I'm sure the tables turned at
You
some
don't
point.
see much
Yeah, I
between.
didn't even get that
6
sense
and-
back then. Like I got the sense back then that he was like kind of a little bit terrified of her, but also could give her stuff. And he was like, "I'm going to latch onto this person because they're strong." I never really got the
Exactly,
sense in that
yeah.
flashback that he
Yeah.
was manipulating her. So
Completely agree.
I'm gonna enable
was-
everything
it-
she
it
wants
felt-
to do.
yeah, it felt like
she'll protect me.
It felt like it's pretty similar to the twist near the end of Dressrosa where the Doflamingo's main officers were like, "Oh, we were the ones who nurtured his evil this whole time," and
Yeah, but I think it was a little.
I didn't like
different.
that either.
No, I think this one's handled better because I think, as Jeff put it, he seemed more like a buggy or someone who just want to, well, not quite buggy, but someone who just want to latch onto someone with strong. Caesar's probably a better example, actually, like with Doflamingo. In order to gain more prominence, he would latch onto someone who is stronger and not necessarily.
Caesar did not like partially raise Doflamingo.
Well, Caesar's gonna go with anybody who doesn't question his research. Struthen strikes me as an opportunist. I mean, the only thing we know about him is that he's a failed piratical cook. So he sees somebody that he assumes is going to have a lot of power, and the only reason Big Mom hasn't devoured him is because his power is useful to her.
Also, like, how does he fail as a pirate cook when his ability is to make food? Like, how do you fail at that? Like,
well, I pointed out last week that we saw him eating steaks raw, so he might be able to turn things into food and just not know how to prepare it.
And to be fair, his cake got destroyed.
and that's why it's all candy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you have to bake cake, so.
Well, it got destroyed by a million Luffys, or 20 probably. What's next, Steven?
Oh, I just want to say real quick though, I don't agree that I don't think that Big Mom lacks agency, and the question was specifically asking like what we think about like the crew's plans compared to her plans, and my assumption of the Big Mom pirates has always been that they just their only real plan is just to do whatever Big Mom wants, and Big Mom is an emperor just because she is just that powerful and no one else can bring her down.
And all she really wants is to be happy and have food. And to be fair, that's what I want.
I mean, when we first saw the reveal of her ability set, we all commented that like she's never really left this island, and it's interesting to think that she's been able to build an empire without ever leaving that place, just because she can. Yeah, possibly. I still think that's what's happened, and that she can build an army that can just expand exponentially outward and get her more and more resources.
There's a lot in between the lines, I think, with Big Mom's story. My name is Khan says, if a Vinsmoke and a three-eyed tribe member, so assume it's the Sanjin pudding here, had a kid, do you think it would have 3 curly eyebrows? If so, which way would the third eyebrow curl?
I mean,
it'd be a double brow.
It would be a Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it would have been Sanji. But he screwed that opportunity by not allowing. Wait.
It is funny that he's Sanji and he's betrothed to the three-eyed girl, you know?
When he has one eye. It evens out.
3
they have 4.
No, but son. It's in his name. 3 is in his name.
Yeah, he's Vinsmoke 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet if they had a kid, it would be the swirls would be symmetrical, like they'd both go outward, but then the top eye would go the same direction that Sanji's eyes go.
I'm hoping it would just have a double curl, like it on both sides. Yeah. It's, for the top.
What if Sanji has a third eye?
Look,
we never know. Yeah.
Maybe that's why he thought it was so beautiful. It's like, oh yeah, I got one too. You guys didn't know about this? Yeah. Come on.
I think it'd be cool for basically the hair to curl around convolutedly so that you only see the top eye. Both bottom eyes are covered. You only see the top eye.
Would it be unbelievable if that gag was just for that each time? What's next? Yeah.
Poke Luffy 2 says, in honor of Father's Day, which One Piece father or father figure would you most like to have, and which island would you like to live on? Okay, look, forget the second part.
No, we've done that a lot. Yeah.
We've answered that one every other week. So, what One Piece father figure would you like?
Like as a
White
biological father, Capone has been the best so far.
I was not expecting that.
Best
but,
at staying alive.
Yeah, he's alive.
He's smoking at 2 months old or whatever. So I mean, I don't know if that's good for his health.
Rayleigh would be pretty good.
Guys, it's Whitebeard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
was gonna say Whitebeard. Although now that I think about it,
but we've seen his son, and that didn't turn out great.
Okay, no,
Or
that's
so
not
maybe
his
son.
son.
No, that's not his son.
No.
It's not his son.
let's not overlook Mr. 9.
Okay, let's move to the next one.
I was gonna say Buggy just for the lulls, but
No.
it wouldn't.
Here's
work
a
out.
list of One Piece characters I want to be my dad, and here's a second copy of that list in case you throw the first one in the trash can.
Rob22 says, do you guys still think the Tamate box will play a major role in the conclusion of Whole Cake Island? I personally believe we have to see it again in a meaningful way. Thanks.
Yes. Simple answer. It has to.
Tamate box could very well blow off the cake topping and reveal the House of Lambs underneath.
Oh my god, that is grim.
That would be awesome. That'd be really good.
What's next?
Yeah, I do really hope now that there's a breeze as it's falling down. It just shoves it into the center of the cake.
Well, actually, Casey brings up a good point. We have to have the reveal at some point that the House of Lambs is on that island.
Or that it is the same island.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
originally housed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is very true. Let's see. Typeset wants one last prediction. If you think the two sides will have a real fight or something else will happen that will lead to an unconventional conclusion.
Can it be both?
Yeah.
I want both.
I want both too. I want an unconventional fight. That's. Yeah.
I think having an unconventional conclusion is probably the sense that whether they fight or not, that it doesn't end just with Luffy punching out Big Mom. I mean, I feel like that's more likely at this point, that it won't be that as simple as that.
Is this the first?
Well, that's what they want you
where...
to think. That's what everyone thinks is the too conventional way. But then I have no idea where I was going with that.
And that's a moment from Sam. What's next?
All right, Anime Lover 1491 had pointed out in the previous chapter 868 in the part of one of the flashback scenes where you see the grave, the 3-helmet grave, that one of the figures down on the hill looks suspiciously like Dogstorm, or at least the outfit is very similar to Dogstorm. Do you think if this is him, does this show that the Minks have friendly ties with the Giants, and that this is where they would think Marco is, since the Whitebeard pirates would probably also have friendly ties and would allow Marco on the island, since the Navy won't go there?
That would bring a good reason to go to Elbath.
True, yeah.
That would make it the third stop for everyone to join again. Oof, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if this is enough evidence, especially since it's someone who is dressed like Dogstorm. It could be just completely off the mark. But
I love the idea of everything kind of coalescing, because we're at the point in the story where everything has to be connected. We can't we can, but probably just shouldn't randomly go to Elbath for an adventure, as fun as that sounds. That has nothing to do with anything. As fun as that sounds, again. And I'm being serious about that, but I figure it will play a major role in the story in some way, especially with all the lead up we're getting in this arc. So after Wano, I figure that we'll go to Elbath. It'll have one of the road poneglyphs we're looking for. Maybe Zoe will be parked off the side of it. And we'll have Marco there and Dogstorm. Everything will be fine. There'll be no conflict. I'm sure something else will happen there,
But yeah, we're probably going to have some pretty significant deviations before we get to Shanks and Blackbeard. So
correct.
Elbath sounds right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with all that. Gunther C. Perk says, I was wondering, Steve is like Katakuri. He knows what's going to happen ahead of the rest of us. Maybe he'll know what the One Piece is 1 or 2 weeks before we get to know.
You know what? Steve, you will, actually. That's. Oh, I ruined the joke for you. Go ahead.
Well, Steve isn't here to explain it, so he could be knee deep in the future developments of the arc. Mr. Fiendish, says, hello, overpowered podcast. Did the concept of the 4 emperors exist in Roger's time? And if so, who would have been Shanks' predecessor? And follow up, how do you think he defeated Big Mom and Kaido?
I'm going to go with
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I don't think the 4 emperor system was necessary, because after Roger got there, people thought, they kicked off the great age of pirates, the golden age of pirates. Like, there's all these new pirates because of what Roger did.
I was also under the impression that like the current 4 emperors, sans Blackbeard, are still leftovers of Roger's era. Like they were probably pretty close to power by then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also there was Shiki, who was never like I don't think we'd call him an official like past 4 emperor or anything like that, but like he was a rival of Roger. He was approximately on that level.
Although with the warlord system, if you consider Film Zed to be canon-ish, like his family was killed by one of the warlords, so it does go back. That does go back. I don't know how long it goes back, but it's been around.
That at least is like a ratified system of world government jurisdiction sort of thing. The 4 emperors is basically just a nickname that got assigned to these guys who were bigger and badder than everybody else.
Pirates
and,
don't have bureaucracy.
No.
That's why we
Well,
like
apparently
them
they
so
do.
much.
They're
Well-
more guidelines.
No, I mean, but aren't the four emperors something termed by the world government? That's how I
We
always
have
figured.
no idea.
Well, that's
nobody
the
knows.
system that Fujitora is trying to blow up. His whole balance of powers, I think.
Anyway, what's next?
Yeah. Zephyr7 says with the original name drop that he defeated one of the Sweet Commanders and his interaction with Kaido after Dressrosa, do you think there is any chance that Urouge will literally and metaphorically swoop in to save the day? As the end goal at the moment is getting to Wano, and I firmly believe that most, if not all, of these supernovas are going to be there, I was wondering if he might be introduced back into the story again in the final moments of this arc. Just a thought.
We do not need any more characters.
I feel like if he's gonna arrive at Whole Cake Island, it'll be more of an Aokiji thing where it's just at the end when they're
Right,
leaving
yes.
or something. Yeah, to set up the next arc.
Yeah, I much prefer it as an epilogue to have.
I want them to hash out what they've. Yeah, I want them to hash out what they've got right now. What O's got on that chessboard right now. We got to get out of that situation first.
Yeah. Frankie Centaur says, we're in an arc about food. Why haven't you been calling this the Pizza Together segment?
I mean, that's secretly what I call it. I didn't realize that you saw my dream journal.
I feel like there are two problems with this, and that is, one, we haven't seen any pizza this arc. And
unlike
two,
Dressrosa, where we did.
Yeah, and two, there's been a history of crimes against pizza in One Piece. I don't know if we're ready to go overboard with it.
And three, pizza is very easily divided.
I like it. Okay, let's see. Try to get through all these. Prince of Assassins said, I know on Arlong Park there are some veteran members really sold on the Sanji bakes a cake theory, and it seems likely. I know Greg is definitely one of them. But others think that the idea is too obvious and a subversion will happen. My question is, has there ever been a plot point that you didn't believe would happen because it was too obvious and then it did happen?
The time skip.
I kind of felt it recently with the Big Mama screaming, taking down the missiles. Like that was like,
oh yeah,
really? Come on, like
or taking down the mirror.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, both things. It was like, how did anyone in this universe approve of this as a thing?
Sometimes the obvious route isn't the worst possible thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing too is like just selling it as like, oh, Sanji's going to bake a cake. It's not going to be like, if that is what happens, it's not going to be like, okay, everyone time out. You know, Sanji has something to say here, and he's like, all right, guys, wait, I'm going to make a cake, and everything's, you know, oh wow, that's a great cake, and you know, that's the end of the arc. You know, obviously there's going to be much more to it than that, and it will be much more interesting than just describing it that way. And I think that
exactly that way.
I think, you know, one of Oda's strengths is that he himself is you know, clearly he is very dissatisfied with the idea of setting up a bunch of stuff that is clear from a distance and then knocking them down one by one. Like he wants to surprise the order of things as he goes along and as he writes each chapter. And so, you know, he naturally finds ways, even when the outcome, such as like, you know, Luffy knocking out a main villain or whatever, even if that part is obvious, there's always a bunch of stuff along the way that you cannot predict, and that makes it unique and exciting. And I feel like that's, no matter what happens, I think that is going to be true of you know, whatever his conclusion is.
I never really thought about the cake as being like the thing that ends the arc. I just imagined if a cake was to be baked, it'd be like, that would be what the centerpiece of the arc ending party would be, like the celebration to
Sanji needs to cook this arc, I feel like, though, for it to like kind of bring things together. I don't know how.
He's got to do something. Like, it can't just be Luffy punches Big Mom and that's the end, happy end of the story. Like, it's the Sanji's arc. So
yes,
I assumed that it had to be Sanji versus Streusen as like a cook on cook final battle between the two of them. But
I feel like that would be really easy.
Yeah, but
KTFO.
I mean, I'm curious how Streusen could use his turning things into food as a power. I think that's something we haven't like. There's been a lot of like creative powers that have been like in recent times in One Piece that like, oh, I never expected this to be a power, but not really so much as I remember in earlier One Piece of like creative uses of something that doesn't sound that creative, like the initial stuff with Robin and like she can sprout hands. How is that going to be useful? And there were so many creative uses of that, and so I'd be excited to see how turn things into food could be used in battle. But
especially because some of Sanji's best fights have been food related. I mean, there's the giant pan noodle battle in Bearer Now Matsuri, and there's the the train battle in Water 7 involving the.
Oh, that was Zach's favorite.
Yeah, it's a wonderful one.
Yeah, why don't you all go to hell?
My C-Kun says, regarding the flashback, do you think they will change the whole cannibalism angle of Little Linlin in the anime like they did with Sanji and Zeph's past? And if they do, how will they censor that?
I don't think so.
How would you even do that?
No, the thing is, Zeph's was explicitly talked about and shown. Also, it was in the early 2000s. It was a different time.
That too.
And this is very implied or inferred, or it's not there. It's not explicit.
Yeah, I think on kids television you can imply whatever you want. You just can't show everything. You just can't show a guy getting half his face blown off.
Yeah, I think Oda has already given his own subtle way for the animators to work around this.
Yeah,
right.
and they didn't cut anything from Law's backstory, so
That's true.
What's next, Stephen?
Black Northwind wants to know, is someone going to free all those beings from the prison books or not? Was the point of showing that only to display Big Mom's childish obsession of collecting all kinds of different beings?
You see, I want something chaotic to develop out of that.
Say the question again.
To punch that guy.
Is something going to happen with all of the prisoners, the prisoner animal creature things in the books or not?
Good question. I don't know.
Maybe they'll end up on the Ark. That'll be the. I guess they weren't in pairs.
Noah's Ark?
Yeah, they weren't in pairs. I don't know. I feel like at this point in time, they are in grave danger of like just completely being forgotten when the whole cake explodes or whatever. Yeah, that's a little scary.
Wait, where is that library?
It's somewhere in the castle.
Oh, is it like the castle at the top of the cake, or?
No, it's inside the cake.
Yeah, that's what I
thought.
thought.
It's all the cake stuff.
Anyway, go ahead.
It was far enough from Big Mom's place that she had to talk through the phone.
Yeah, they're in different places, but it's all inside the giant castle, the giant cake thing. Scarred Tiger says E3 last weekend seemed to have a bit of a pirate sub-theme happening with a lot of games announced. Sea of Thieves and Skull and Bones. Which of these games do you think is most primed for some One Piece mods? And why would that be? Why would that game be Mario and Rabbids? Maybe only Roger can answer this question. I don't know.
Sea of Thieves is way more One Piece-ish. Because it's got a lot more emphasis on humor from what I've seen. But
I'm trying to remember which one's which. Sea of Thieves is the rare one, right?
Was that the banana one where he eats the banana from the top? Yeah.
And then the other one is like the
pirate engine from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it's like we took the pirate part of Assassin's Creed and we're just making its own game now.
Which was the best part of the later
not a bad idea.
Honestly, the game the One Piece game I want to see after E3 is, given how amazingly beautifully animated Arc System's new Dragon Ball Fighter Z game looks. I want a One Piece fighter game by Arc System, and they've already done one on DS, so they do have the rights to the license. They could do it anytime they wish. It'd be great.
I want a like a Legacy of Goku sprite-based RPG for One Piece. That's what I want.
All right, that was your game segment for this week's episode. Dry Bones Brooke has a theory that Big Mom's picture of Mother Carmel is actually from her memories that Pudding took out. What do you think? I think that's interesting, but I don't see why that would need to be the case. Like, why couldn't she just have a picture from the old House of Lambs or whatever?
I mean, we're just trying to figure out where Pudding's powers are going to come up next.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it didn't actually come from the House of Lambs, I mean, how else would it get there if it isn't from that pudding would be the only real explanation?
This is one of those things I
please-
don't think needs much of an explanation.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think there's a
Please
lot
don't
to
let
gain
Pudding's
by it.
next thing being trying to erase Nami from Sanji's memories or something.
No, I don't think that would. I don't think they'd do
That would be the worst. Yes, worst possible outcome.
I could eat my words though, but I don't.
All right.
That's a little too far.
I'm just saying that gasp has me shook.
Yeah.
All right, last and saving last for best for last. My pants are on fire says last week's piece together. There was speculation that Big Mom might have killed her husbands to solidify them into her own children. The problem with that theory was that Pound who is still alive. So that got me thinking, considering his name and size, maybe Pound was able to fulfill Big Mom's non-sugar based needs and was spared that fate. I will show myself out.
Get out. Okay.
So you're saying he took her to Pound Town?
Maybe
I do want like a solid kind of confirmation on what her relationship with her husbands are, because actually, like, again, like on sort of my feelings of how Big Mom's being portrayed, like just like implying that it's just a real normal, or not normal, but they're real actual relationships there, like that these children are coming from, and not like her soul powers, because if it was her soul powers, that would just lend more credence to like she's just a childish person who has not changed at all since she was 6, which is what I want to get away from. Like I want to see adult Big Mom. Like I want to believe that she has like a semblance of an adult life of some kind.
I feel like we're kind of getting the two sides of her mixed up, because until this chapter, for the last half a dozen chapters or so, all we were seeing was literally like childhood. Even in her kind of fugue state that she was in, she was little 6-year-old Lin in those moments, and she didn't really snap out of it until right now. And I feel like we're kind of overlooking the fact that her older self is still a different person,
right,
even if it is similar characteristics in some ways.
Yeah, and I just have like this genuine fear that we're like moving away from the fact that she is an older person now.
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
think
it's a fear too, that it's like that it has the possibility of going down a route that's like her character is now explained, and now it would be gross to show her having relations, showing her having
I
had
just
relations.
think she's a lady with very strong appetites.
cool. Yeah, so that's it for Reddit.
She's demonstrated it in other parts of her life.
Yeah.
Every woman was someone's daughter.
So that's it for Reddit. Ed, what's our song for Twitter?
We don't know that about Big Mom. She might be like an experiment.
Ed, what's our Twitter song?
Yes, that thing. Peace the tweet.
What do we got this week?
We got a bunch of pieces to tweet this week. First one comes from let's see here, Gregory Pratika Jr., who just wants to say that he is very mad, all caps, at Dufeld right now. So yes, you can say that, and I'll read it, and we'll move on. All right, the next one comes from ASJ00. How do you think the world government will react to Nefertari Cobra's questions at the Reverie? And what then will happen to Alabasta and Vivi?
I think some monocles are going to fly off.
I really feel like it's going to be the second most shocking thing to happen at the Reverie because of the Fishman. I feel like Vivi might be taking the back seat a little bit to that drama.
Could be.
A lot can happen at a Reverie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know how that's going to play out, and I'm kind of excited about it.
Can you guys remind me what has been set up with Cobra, and like was it just in cover stories, or did they actually flash back there?
It was in the chapter where we saw everybody preparing to leave for the Reverie. And he said he was like hinting that he had some questions about the truth, because they kind of I think the implication was that they sort of treated the poneglyph that was in Alabaster in Alabarna in that crypt as like just sort of like a an ancient duty of the royal family. Oh yeah, we just protect that down there. It's it's historical, it's important. And I feel like the whole thing with Crocodile and the Straw Hats, he was like, okay, what is the deal with this? Why is it important? And he was kind of intimating that he had some questions for the rest of the power structure as to why, what is the deal with these things. So, yeah.
We may get some more revelations about the poneglyphs then.
Yeah.
That would be the most likely outcome.
Right.
Sure.
Next one comes from friend of the show, Dr. Valkyrie. Do any of you have special plans to celebrate the 20th anniversary of One Piece? Well, we got an Otakon panel, but does anyone else have other plans that they had for the anniversary?
I am rereading One Piece for the second time in a year and a half in preparation for said panel. So, yes.
Not doing anything particular. I pretty much live
No.
One Piece as it is. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue being awesome. Is what I'm gonna do.
Maybe I'll buy the next Viz box set.
Oh, there you go. The nice thing about that is, and the extras. Do we know what the extra is for the next box set?
Nope.
I don't know.
I don't think
Okay.
so. Hmm.
All right, next one comes from let's see. Bolden Lindsay says, so the giant in the flashback of the chapter just watched Big Mom eat everybody and did nothing. Shocked face gif. It's hey, maybe he arrived just as it was ending, you know.
And when CP
I mean, he didn't want to go
came
anywhere
in-
near that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
once you see the first child being eaten, you're like, well, I can't stop this now. Like,
He did run and tell everybody else and essentially build her reputation.
Eno Shitas asks, since the Vinsmokes have their cool, trademark, code names with their main color, what would Sanji's be? We kind of asked this already, but did anyone have any thoughts about it?
Curvy yellow is okay with me.
Groovy yellow.
Groovy.
Prodigal yellow.
Banana.
I would have figured it was just like burning yellow or
Wait.
something.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
fiery yellow, or
Hmm.
like there wasn't a fire one already, right?
one of them was sparking.
Flame,
which I was-
flame
There's
yellow.
sparking and electric, which is a
Yeah, I
weird.
was confused. Was that fire sparks or
I
like?
think sparkings are
I think it's fire
explosions,
sparks.
or-
Mm.
Oh yeah, I could see explosion and fire being different.
yeah. What's next, Ed?
Next one comes from Uai777. Your thoughts on the Vinsmoke family's fighting style? It seems Reiju and Niji use mostly leg attacks like Sanji does.
I don't know that they necessarily have a distinct
right.
fighting
'Cause-
style. It seems like they just kind of mess
'cause
stuff up.
It was noteworthy to them that Sanji was only using his legs.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess Sanji, even if he had a bracelet, he couldn't put in his arms. So maybe that could be a reason he rejects it later on.
Maybe it might be a can, might not be a gauntlet. I'm not sure.
He can use an ankle bracelet.
Yeah.
Cracker Jakku asks, do you think Big Mom will kill Chiffon for siding with Bedge? How would the other Charlotte siblings react? Well, I think we saw kind of. I mean, Lola's the wild card here, but we saw how the other siblings reacted when Charlotte Moscato, Minister of Gelato, was killed.
Mhm.
Or whatever happened to him.
Yeah.
She rules by fear. People ain't gonna do shit.
All right, there's a
Nope.
lot of political analogies I could be making right now.
Mm.
Do it on Twitter.
That's what Twitter is for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can rip out your soul, and if that doesn't work, she can punch you to death or scream so loud that it obliterates you. So there's lots of options.
Yes.
Pick your poison.
What do you got, Ed? Any?
Here's a legit question for Steven. What is the from 91 Ryan who says, what is the protocol for submitting SBS questions?
Well, we have the answer to that.
Yeah, you write them to Japan. I mean, there is no, as far as I can tell, no non-Japanese, bureaucratic angle to that. Like you send them to the Shueisha office to Shonen Jump / SBS. Yeah, and they either take them or they don't. And so you would imagine that if it's not written in Japanese, your chances of success are infinitesimally smaller. Small,
Subscribe, Steven.
Big jokes go to the top of the pile.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is our last one here from Matt Nolan, who says, happy about the brief nod to Pudding still being there. Though I'm not crazy that she seemed almost jealous of Nami. And is it just me, or does Judge just seems so much less impressive as the only one in the back row, and that he is the only one that didn't attack. What a schmuck.
I
think general seems really unimpressive this arc.
I think schmuck is the order of the day with Judge.
Yeah, those are Flamenco's henchmen. Let's not get this mixed up, guys.
His kids were like, when they did fight this chapter, they looked pretty cool. So he's got a point there. The Judge doesn't do much. He's like the little guy in the white suit. He's going to do something cool. He's just stand there doing nothing.
As I'm sure Sam will point out in the anime recap, Germa 66 started out pretty cool, and Judge seemed like he was going to be intimidating. And lately,
actually, I have a different comment based on this week's anime. So,
which we've all learned at this point.
Yeah, I think Judge is like he's like the LeVar Ball of One Piece. Like, he's just living vicariously through his kids at this point. And,
not a lot of sports watchers.
He talks a mean game, but he doesn't seem to do much himself.
I was like, oh, that's a mispronunciation of LeVar Burton. But, no,
that's what I thought too, Jeff. Okay. So that does it for Piece Together. Why don't we round off the show?
Sure.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 474 for the week of Monday, June 19th, 2017. Thank you all so much for coming on the show. Really good episode today. As you may have heard, there will not be a manga chapter next week, but we have a special surprise for you. And that surprise is that the next Straw Hat, Jimbei's voice will be on, Daniel Bao. And we're very excited to have him on the show. He's been listening to the podcast, so I hear. I think even kind of crossed paths with Steve when he was at Funimation the other week, voicing NDA roles. And excited to have Daniel on. So that'll be filling the manga void for us next week. We might have some other special stuff for you next week, but that is yet to be determined at this time. Again, if you have not, please check out our Discord channel. The link is on our main page, and we'll be posting it periodically on Twitter and Facebook as well. Check out Greg's video on YouTube if you haven't. It's youtube.com/Ochimusha, except the O is a 0 in that. And please check us out at Otakon and AX, and follow us on social media for more details on that, and pick up Funimation's One Piece Season 9, Voyage 1. A lot of things that you guys out there need to do. So before we go, let's see how the good folks contact you guys. Jeff, how could people get in touch with you?
I am Jeffinly Jeff on Twitter, and I also, should I plug other things here too?
This is the time.
Yeah, okay. I also host a Digimon podcast called Podigus. You can find it on iTunes and all the other places to listen to podcasts. And I'm occasionally on the Shonen Jump podcast, and also host a podcast about learning Japanese called Don't Nihongo It Alone. I think it's on Twitter at Nihongo Pod. And that's about all I do. And in addition, you should, subscribe to official Shonen Jump, use the apps. You can let me know on Twitter or through feedback in the app what you want improved, and hopefully you can do it. So pretty responsive to that kind of stuff and take lots of suggestions. So yeah.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Anytime. It's always great to have a nice microphone. I'll be the first to say. Steven, where could people find you?
If you want to follow me on Twitter, I can be found at Translatosaurus, where I talk about manga stuff every now and then.
Sam?
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw, talking about whatever I feel like talking about at that moment. And you can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com, doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, Dragon Ball Super, and My Hero Academia.
And Casey?
You can find me on Twitter at Minovsky Article. I will be appearing at Otakon as part of the 20 Years of One Piece panel, as it was mentioned before, which will be my first time paneling anywhere, so please be kind. And I will also be appearing at Anime Fest in Dallas with this podcast's own Sam Leach.
Hey, and Joe. Joe's going to be there.
Oh, yes, Joe. Yeah, Joe is also going to be there. Yeah, I'm just going strictly as a fan to that one because Mitsuru Kubo and Sayo Yamamoto of Yuri on Ice and Masaki Yuasa of Ping Pong the Animation, who's my favorite anime director of them all, will all be
Daisato.
attending that one. Yep. And Won Choi. So great lineup.
Yeah.
But that's in August. So if you're in Dallas in August, come say hi.
So, Ed, how could the good people out there contact us?
Of course, you are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I am Edward E. Festizio, and I am back on watching the 100 Great Anime Films, the list that Paste put up earlier this year. And, yeah, I'm back on watching. I watched Katsuhiro Otomo's Steam Boy and this weird little movie called Wind Called Amnesia. And I really liked the second one a lot more. It was sort of an incomplete movie, but it had a lot of...
It's all about
weird.
Sabo.
It was weird, and it had a lot of interesting ideas. So I go with that rather than the bloated epic. But, yeah, the podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast. You can leave us some feedback there, some piece together. Please support us. Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. You get if you subscribe at a certain level, it's $10. You get our monthly bonus episodes,
which
and other content.
I owe and will be coming this week. I promise this time. Ed, make sure to bother me about that at some random points. Yeah.
You can subscribe on Google Play, right? It's Google Play.
Do them all. Yeah, keep it going.
Subscribe on SoundCloud and subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
It's like the fourth week now after like doing it the other way for 8 years. But yeah, Apple Podcasts, they changed the name. It's freaking me out a little bit. You can also call us on our Zach.
Ed, that phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number, again, is 347-497-6254. Call anytime. With your questions, your comments, your theories. Very fun episode today, you guys. Again, next week, check out our episode with the voice of Jimbei. I believe we'll also have an anime recap that week. Maybe some surprise segments. Let us know if there's anything you want to hear from us. Still up in the air at this point. Also, check out our Patreon exclusive episode, as just mentioned. Should be coming out this week as well. But for the One Piece Podcast, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Deadbeat Family, Germa Rangers.